Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 3rd as well as 5th March 2023, brought to you by Ganesh Academy. Okay, let's get into today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. Okay, let's analyze every article one by one. Why Thailand slammed India's farm subsidy at the WTO. So recently there was a tussle between India and Thailand with regards to the farm subsidies that has been given by India to their farmers. So what was the protest and what was the India's reply and what is the other consequences of it? We will look into these aspects in the upcoming slides. Okay. First, we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with international institutions, agencies, the fora structure which comes under GS paper 2, international relation. So, Thailand has replaced its ambassador to WTO after India protested their comments on India's public stockholding. See, Thailand said that the PDS under which the government procures and sells it to the common people at the lower cost is not for the people but to capture the export market. This is what the comment that has been made by Thailand. And for this, India has protested against such a kind of statement. As a consequence of it, the Thailand has replaced its ambassador at the WTO. After India, Thailand is the second largest rice exporter in the world, in the global arena. So, what is the Thailand's concern? Why Thailand has raised such a kind of thing at the international institution is, see, Thailand is a member of 20 nations kinds group, which has time and again questions the India's the subsidy program. And the program is highly subsidized and India's farm support is distorting the global price and hurting the food security of the other country. So this is what the concern they are raising. So trade distortion, what does the trade distortion is? It is a situation where the prices and production are higher or lower than the level that would actually exist. According to WTO, nearly all the domestic supports measures are considered to distort such trade, but they are permitted to breach the limit. Such a kind of limit is called as de minimis limit. See, under WTO agreement, the aggregate value of the product's specific support should not exceed 5% of the total value of the production of the agriculture products in question. So, in case of developing countries such as India, the de minimis level is 10%, which is 5% higher than the de minimis level which has been set for the developed countries. So, India has breached the de minimis limit in the case of rice. So, this has angered the other exporters or the major exporters like Thailand, as they are finding it difficult to compete with India as the global arena with regards to the rice export. And the Keynes group or the group which comprises of, this is very important from the perspective of prelims, which comprises of Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, and Costa Rica, Guatemala, Indonesia, Malaysia, New Zealand, Pakistan, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, South Africa, Thailand, Ukraine, Uruguay, and Vietnam. And they have been lobbying for the agricultural trade liberalization. So the trade experts, what they are saying is that, so the grouping is trying to get India to dismantle or reduce the MSP scheme. So, through the scheme, the government gives an assured price to farmers for certain major crops to ensure the price stability and secure the farmers' income. So, what is the reason for questioning India's rice subsidy is? So, the WTO norm says that the support given should be within the 10% de minimis limit. India informed the WTO that the value of its rice production during 2019-2020 was $46.7 billion. So in that 13.7% has been given as subsidy to the farmers, which is higher than the 10% de minimis limit. So India So this is the reason why India subsidy program has been questioned at the WTO by certain countries. And at the same time, India has also questioned the WTO's subsidy measurement level. Why? Because the subsidies at the WTOs are calculated based on the calculation methodology which was devised during 1986-88 time period, which is redundant right now or outdated right now. So what's the India argument and demand at the WTO? See, the Keynes group is also attacking the peace clause, which triggered after India breached the de minimis limit. So the interim peace clause was put in place during 2013, the Bali Agreement, to protect the developing countries from being accused of breaching the subsidy limit. But it comes, see, this peace clause has some vague terms which could be manipulated by the other developed countries in their own way, and at the same time it also comes with certain rigid condition which is very difficult for the developing countries to follow. So that is the reason why India as well as other like-minded developing countries are pitching for the permanent solution at the WTO for the public stock holding or the subsidy that they are giving to their farmers in their domestic land. And India also said that the subsidy it provides is far less than the what US as well as EU as well as the US are providing. For example, Indian government subsidies to farmers comes at $300 per farmers compared with the $40,000 per farmer that has been given by US in terms of subsidy in their country. So this is what the argument being placed by India at the WTO against the developed country. What need to be studied for this? You should be aware of what is WTO, what is United Nations General Assembly, PDS as well as MSP. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Grey zone warfare. So the news is related to what is grey zone and what impact does it create. So first we will look into the relation of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Under mains, it has been related with bilateral, regional, global groupings, agreements involving India and are affecting the India's interests. So this is how the news has been related with examination. So what does it say? Why it came in news is, see, India's Chief of Defence Staff during the Rasina dialogue, what he has said is that, see, the grey zone warfare was the latest in informal warfare. And he has given an example like the situation in the South China Sea where several countries, that is the China, have extended competing territorial claims and were occasionally confronting involving the small boats that have been reported. So this is the kind of scenario which it has been called as grey zone warfare. So what is actually the grey zone warfare? The grey zone warfare generally means a mid space between the black and the white of direct conflict as well as the peace. And what the experts are saying is that it is the activities that falls in between a set of activities like nefarious economic activities, influence operation and cyber attack on the one side, and then the activities like mercenary operation, assassinations and disinformation campaign, and which include the economic actions like debt traps as well as economic sanction. So these are all the things which are considered as grey zone warfare. So what it is? The tactics of grey zone warfare became more popular during the Cold War time. That is the phase between the ideological conflict between US and USSR after 1945. Since both were nuclear armed, the direct threat could have a massive damage to the global economy. So such method can also be employed by parties who have not access to massive resources or the power, which has been considered as the advantage traditionally. Such tactics helps them gain an advantage over the technically superior adversary, which is considered as the well-equipped country. If the country is technically superior, means such country will be considered as the strong country conventionally. So if some countries are not technically superior, means they will be using the grey zone warfare to achieve their objectives. And what it looks like. So this includes, for example, the Chinese military's presence in the South China Sea, where the Philippines is one of the countries which has challenged the China's territorial claims extending over 80% of the region. In December 23, it termed the presence of more than 135 Chinese military surveillance vessels near the disputed reef that is as illegal. So such a kind of thing is called as grey zone warfare. So what risk does it poses? So according a country could be indulging in grey zone warfare only as a bait, getting its rival to react in a way such that so that they could able to legitimize their military reprisal from its side. So that is they wanted to provoke the opposite side so that they wanted to justify the military action that they are making against them. So this is what the risk it poses. So this is what the analysis of the grey zone warfare is about. So what we need to be further aware of is we should be aware of the Agnipath scheme, the South China Seas as well as the overall geography it has, and the debt trap. What does the debt trap is, and along with it we should be aware of the Belt and Road Initiative of China, since because it is the 10th year of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is very important from the perspective of prelims. So with this we have reached the end of this session, this topic. Rooftop solar power installation has raised 6.25% in 2023. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the relation of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under means it has been related with infrastructure, energy, ports, airports, railways, etc. So this is how the news has been related with examination. So the rooftop solar power installation has grew 6.25% in 2023. So we could be able to see that the capacity addition of 1.7 gigawatt as from the 2022, that is the 1.6 gigawatt. So we could be able to see increase in terms of solar production. And during the October-December period, it was during 2022 it is 483 megawatt, and during 23 it is 406 megawatt. So in the residential segment accounted for over half of the capacity addition during 2023. So rooftop solar tender totaling 1.2 gigawatt were issued in 2023. So Gujarat was the leader in the installation, accounting for nearly 27.3% of the cumulative solar rooftop solar power. So which is very important from the perspective of prelims, these kind of facts. And the average cost of the solar rooftop system fell for the 5th straight quarter. So we could, because of the scaling of this rooftop solar power, we could able to see that the system setup is the cost of the systems setup is getting reduced. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into what does the Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana scheme is about. So it is a governmental scheme which aims to install rooftop solar system in 1 crore household across the country. So the scheme will target low and middle income household who can benefit from reduced electricity bill and additional income from surplus electricity generation. The scheme will provide financial assistance to eligible households in the form of subsidy, loan or incentive depending on their category or location. The scheme will also provide technical assistance to the household in terms of installation, operation, maintenance of the solar rooftop system. So what is the significance this scheme holds is that it will help India to meet its commitment under the Paris Agreement, that is to reduce the emission intensity by 33-35% by 2030 from the 2005 level, and the scheme will contribute to India's vision of becoming self-reliant in the energy sector. So this is what the significance it holds. And what is the challenges it might face is that the lack of awareness and then the information among the consumers acts as the hurdle to access the benefit of the scheme. Secondly, high upfront cost is also posing a challenge to access the scheme. Thirdly, the regulatory hurdles or red tapeism. So these are all the things which might be posing challenges to the successful implementation of this scheme. So what need to be studied further is we should be aware of what is United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, and then you should be aware of renewable schemes, and you should be aware of the India's energy mix. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Super Tuesday. So what it is and why it is in news. Let's look into the, well, let's find out when we are discussing the upcoming slides. First we will look into the relation of the news with the examination. And the prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains it is related to bilateral, regional and global grouping and agreements involving India or affecting the India's interests. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Super Tuesday is a landmark day in the ongoing US presidential election process. Why it is a landmark day is that on this day, the supporters of Democratic as well as Republican parties in 15 states will vote for their preferred candidates in the presidential race. How the US polls work is that Super Tuesday is a part of round of polls that are conducted before the presidential election. So the American voters who usually support or have the affiliation towards one party gather and they will be voting for the preferred candidates during the time. So in primaries, the voters go to polling station and vote and check the box against the name of their favored candidates. And why it matters is that for candidates, winning a primary or caucus means winning the support of the several delegates, that is those who are representing the local areas or the local people, and these delegates later vote to select the official party nominees at the Democratic and Republican National Convention held in the summer. So this is what it matters. This is the reason why it matters. And so what is the Super Tuesday? This year the states will hold their primaries as well as caucuses from January to June. In March or February, one Tuesday see multiple states will be going to polls to vote for their preferred candidates. So March 5 will see polls in 15 states including Alabama, Alaska, California, Massachusetts and Texas. So the results of Super Tuesday have often indicated that the candidates who will be chosen as the party's nominee for the presidential race. So this is very important from electing the party's presidential candidate. So the scenario for this year. So from the Democratic Party, US President Joe Biden is seeking the re-election, and at the same time the Republican Party or the previous leaders or the frontrunners like the Ron DeSantis as well as the Vivek Ramaswamy have been pinned to Trump as well as Haley. So this is what the news is about, and this is what the Super Tuesday is about. Let's look into what are the things which we needed to be further aware of. You should be aware of the presidential form of government as well as the India-US relationship, and then the North American geography. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. With this, we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's move on to today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here are the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel so that you will be receiving daily current affairs session notification as well as weekly environmental and as well as science and tech notification, and also the other important notification which will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.